and we're going to be ready to launch American astronauts to the moon again and getting our first woman and next man to the South Pole of the moon in 2024. This time when we go to the moon, we're going to go to stay with a purpose of learning how to live and work on another world so we can take that knowledge and information to Mars. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Artemis Day.
When did you find out we were going to the moon in 2024?
I don't know the exact date, but...
Well, actually, with Trump's administration, the directive to return to the moon,
I don't remember. And
that kind of change in our transportation would be amazing. And if you book a 1-hour flight to Tokyo from New York or from Houston to Sydney, then you get some weightlessness on the way. Like, I think that would be my favorite way of experiencing microgravity.
what's the state of nature of water on Neptune and Uranus? That they're actually looking in which is they say that it's not nothing like we have on Earth, where water is whatever solid, liquid, and gas. But they're actually talking about a fourth state of water.
The billionaires, who I'm talking about, Bezos and Musk, talk about doing this, I think is dangerous and in many respects immoral, because as far as I can understand it, Musk is talking about taking people to live on Mars who can pay him to get there. That is not representative of humanity.
And all of us up to humans, they've been able to work on the embryo and go into the embryo and do different things with it. They can identify a gene and what it does, and then they kind of play with that gene in the body.
So when Elon talks about there being a narrow window to actually get to Mars and make us multiplanetary, I think this is like, well, one, I totally agree.
Greenhouse on Mars, where you could take biologically engineered plants, the Arabidopsis plants, which is sort of the white mouse of biological plant biology world, and make them grow in Martian regolith. And so we would condition the regolith, leach out the poisons or otherwise neutralize poisons that we know are there, and then try to grow plants.
It looks like something in old movies. He said, "I don't believe that you really went to the moon." I mean, what? You don't believe we went to the moon? Well, why'd you stop? Why'd you just do it one time? I'm like,
contracting and things of that sort. I'd also like to talk about like why NASA's kind of been shifting from one track to another. Moon, Mars, moon, Mars, moon, Mars for quite a while, and compare it with some of the other systems like we see in Europe, UAE with their 100-year plan, or China with their kind of focus on resources both in Antarctica and the moon.
We're not going to be the problem for space. Why? Because space is already a problem to us. So whatever we do to it is going to have a small impact compared to what the universe has done to us so far.
And so many different value systems and belief systems in human societies on Earth. And so far, it seems to me, I have not done any kind of scientific research on this, but it seems to me that the vast majority of the talk about space settlement is Western.
If all people die, the sun's going to keep shining. The Earth is going to keep running around the sun, and it's going to keep shining for at least another billion years. And then things might begin to go haywire, but that's still going to happen. You might call that absolute truth. Unless, of course, an asteroid of some sort bumps into the Earth and causes another catastrophe.
Totally. Yeah. And it's fascinating. There was, before we transitioned into an agricultural economy, and started to live in cities increasingly, there was all this diversity in, sort of like small human cultures.
I think there were like 35 million people watching the last Mars lander, and there may be a commensurate number this time. But remember, there's 600 million people watching the Apollo landings, and that was when only 400 million TVs existed in the world. And I should say also when there was not an internet, so you couldn't just put it off and then go, watch it that night at home. You had to watch it live. So there were people clustered around TV sets all over the world in time zones where it was 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. watching that.
At that time, as an educational diagnostician, I would go to different schools and test kids in areas of learning disabilities. And so when it happened, I was in my car, and you're going to be appalled by this, but I had a little TV on my dashboard plugged in and I watched it on my car. Yeah, and cried.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, have a good day.
Thanks, Nathan. Bye.